You're 43 years old. You wake up on a Tuesday morning, look around your perfectly decent house, and feel it. That quiet, creeping dissatisfaction. Your neighbor just finished a kitchen renovation. Your college roommate posted photos of his new place. Soaring ceilings, a 3-car garage, a backyard that looks like a resort. And you think, I've been working hard for 20 years. I earn good money. Don't I deserve this too? That feeling is completely human. It is also, if you act on it, one of the most financially devastating mistakes you will ever make. My name is Dan, and today I'm going to show you exactly why your 40s will either make you wealthy beyond what you currently believe is possible, or quietly destroy every chance you had at real financial freedom. Not because of bad luck, not because of the economy, because of one decision. A decision that millions of people in their peak earning years make every single day, thinking it's a reward, not realizing it's a trap. Let's start with the math, because the math doesn't care about your feelings. You are 43. If you retire at 65, you have 22 years left. 22 years sounds like a long time. It is not. It is actually the last window, the final, closing window, in which compound interest can do the heavy lifting for you. After this, you're mostly on your own. After this, what you have is largely what you'll get. Here is what compound interest does in 20 years with a consistent investment. If you invest $500 a month starting today at a 7% average annual return, which is historically conservative for a diversified index portfolio, you'll have approximately $260,000 by the time you retire. Not bad, but here's where it gets serious. If you invest $1,000 a month, you end up with roughly $520,000. And if you push to $1,500 a month, which is absolutely achievable on a solid middle-class income, you're looking at $780,000. Nearly $800,000 from $1,500 a month. Money that, in your 40s, you almost certainly already earn. Money that is passing through your hands right now. But you're thinking about the kitchen. You're thinking about the house upgrade. So let's talk about what that actually costs. Not the price tag, but the real cost. The average move-up home purchase in America adds roughly $3,000 to $4,000 per month to your total housing costs when you factor in a higher mortgage, increased property taxes, higher insurance, more maintenance, more furniture to fill the space, higher utility bills. People almost never calculate this honestly. They see the mortgage payment and think that's the number. It isn't. It is never just the mortgage. So let's say the upgrade costs you an extra $3,000 a month. That's $3,000 a month that is no longer available to invest. Over 22 years, at 7%, that $3,000 per month would have compounded into over $1,800,000. Not $100,000, not $500,000, $1,800,000. Gone. Traded for a fancier living room and a guest bathroom that guests will use maybe 12 times a year. That is not a metaphor. That is arithmetic. And here is the part that nobody talks about when you're standing in an open house with vaulted ceilings and warm lighting and a real estate agent telling you this is the best investment you'll ever make. A house is not an investment. Your primary residence is a consumption asset. It does not generate income. It does not compound. It appreciates, yes, sometimes, but historically, when you adjust for inflation, the average American home appreciates at roughly 1% per year in real terms. 1%. Compare that to the 7 to 10% average annual return of a broad market index fund over the same period, and you understand why the wealthy have always known something the middle class hasn't. Your home is where you live, not where you build wealth. Now, none of this means you should live in misery. None of this means housing doesn't matter. It means you need to be surgical about the timing. And the timing in your 40s matters more than at any other point in your life. Here is something that most financial conversations completely ignore. The reason your 40s are so dangerous and so powerful is that they represent the exact collision of two forces that only align once. The first force is peak earning power. Most people hit their highest income between the ages of 40 and 55. Your skills are at their most valuable. Your network is established. Your reputation is built. You're earning more right now, or very soon will be, than you've ever earned before. The second force is compounding time. You still have 2 decades of runway. 2 decades for money to double, and double again, and double again. At 7%, money doubles roughly every 10 years. So a dollar invested today at 43 becomes $2 by 53, $4 by 63. The money you invest in your 40s doesn't just grow, it multiplies in a way that money invested in your 50s and 60s simply cannot replicate. This convergence, high income meeting long, compounding runway, happens once. If you spend it upgrading your lifestyle, you spend the one window you had. And no amount of hard work in your 50s can fully compensate for what was possible in your 40s. The math won't allow it. Time won't allow it. Let me tell you about two men. I'm going to call them Marcus and David. They both turned 42 in the same year. Both earned roughly $115,000 annually. Both had decent savings, reasonable debt, and the same vague plan to get more serious about retirement soon. Marcus got a promotion at 43. His income jumped to $140,000. He and his wife decided they'd finally earned the upgrade they'd been putting off. They bought a bigger house in a better neighborhood. Beautiful place. The mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance came to $4,200 more per month than their old costs. They figured they'd start investing more aggressively once the kids were through college. Once the dust settled. Once things calmed down. David also got a raise around the same time. Not as dramatic. His income went to $125,000. But David did something different. He and his wife sat down with a spreadsheet and ran the numbers. Not the emotional numbers. The real numbers. They stayed in their house. They refinanced to a lower rate. They took the difference, roughly $2,500 a month, and invested it automatically every single month without touching it. They didn't think about it. They didn't celebrate it. They just did it every month for 23 years. Marcus retired at 65 with approximately $380,000 in investable assets. With a 4% withdrawal rate, the standard sustainable withdrawal guideline, that generates about $15,200 per year. Per year. On top of Social Security, it's survivable. It is not freedom. It is not what Marcus imagined when he pictured retirement at 43. David retired at 65 with $1,600,000 in investable assets. Same withdrawal rate generates $64,000 per year before Social Security. David and his wife travel. They help their kids. They are not anxious about their next medical bill or whether the market drops this quarter. They are free. Same income bracket. Same starting point. Same era. One decision. I want to stay with this for a moment because I think we intellectually understand numbers, but we don't viscerally feel them until we connect them to real life. So let me ask you something directly. What does your retirement actually look like right now? Not the fantasy, the projection. If you took your current retirement savings, added what you're actually realistically contributing each month, and ran it forward at a conservative rate of return to your target retirement age, what number do you land on? Most people in their 40s have never done this calculation. Not really. They have a vague sense that they're contributing something and a vague hope that it will probably be okay. That vagueness is not a plan. That vagueness is a slow financial emergency that won't become visible until it's too late to fix. The average American approaching retirement has saved less than $200,000. The recommended savings for a comfortable retirement, not lavish, comfortable, is between $1 million and $1.5 million for a middle-income household. The gap between where most people are and where they need to be is not a rounding error. It is a chasm. And a significant portion of the people standing at that chasm spent their 40s upgrading their kitchen. Now, I want to talk about the psychology of this, because the financial part is actually the easier part to solve. The harder part is understanding why smart, hardworking, self-aware people keep making the same mistake. There is a term in behavioral economics called lifestyle creep. It describes the way our spending automatically expands to absorb whatever income increases we receive. You earn more, so you spend more. You earn more again, so you spend more again. And at every step, the spending feels justified, feels earned, feels like a natural expression of your progress. The trap isn't that you're being irresponsible. The trap is that you're being completely normal. You're doing exactly what every advertisement, every social environment, and every cultural signal is telling you to do. Reward yourself for success by consuming more visibly. The problem is that normal, in this context, leads to a retirement where you're working until 68 because you have no choice. The wealthy do something different. Not because they're smarter, not because they earn more, because they learned, usually from someone who showed them the math early enough, that the moment you can afford to buy the thing is often the exact moment you most need to not buy it. Think about that. The moment you get a raise is the most dangerous financial moment of your year. Not because raises are bad, because a raise creates the illusion that you have surplus. And when humans perceive surplus, we spend it. We don't think about it. We don't debate it. We just absorb it into our lifestyle within 60 to 90 days. If you've ever gotten a significant raise and then 6 months later wondered where it all went, you've lived this. The raise didn't disappear. It became a car payment. It became a restaurant habit. It became the down payment on a house that was 20% larger than you needed. Here is the reframe that changes everything. Every dollar of lifestyle inflation in your 40s doesn't cost you $1. It costs you $4 because that dollar invested would have quadrupled over your remaining working years. When you buy a $300 dinner instead of $70 dinner, you didn't spend $230 extra. You spent $920 in future wealth. When you upgrade to a car that costs $1,200 a month instead of $500, the $700 difference isn't $700. It's $2,800 in future purchasing power every single month, compounding away from you. This is why your 40s are different. In your 20s, lifestyle inflation is less costly because you have 40 years of compounding ahead. The math can recover. In your 60s, the window is mostly closed anyway, so the damage of lifestyle choices is more contained to the present. But in your 40s, every dollar you misallocate is maximally expensive because it hits you at the worst possible intersection. High potential compounding value, with just enough time remaining to matter enormously, but not enough time to fully recover from mistakes. I want to give you something concrete, not a vague inspiration, an actual framework. The first thing you need to do is calculate your retirement number. Take the annual income you want in retirement. Be honest, not modest, and multiply it by 25. That is how much you need to save to retire with a 4% withdrawal rate that statistically lasts 30 or more years. If you want $80,000 a year in retirement income, you need $2 million saved. If you want $60,000, you need $1.5 million. Write that number down. It is not optional. It is your target. The second thing is to calculate your current trajectory. Take your current retirement savings, apply a 7% annual return, and project it to your target retirement age. Then add what you're actually investing per month. Where do you land? If you land short, and most people do, the question becomes, how much do you need to increase your monthly investment to hit your target? The third thing, and this is the one that changes lives, is to treat the gap as fixed overhead before anything else gets allocated. Not, I'll invest what's left over at the end of the month. That strategy, in practice, means you invest nothing because there is never anything left over. The money needs to leave your account the day your paycheck arrives, automated, invisible, non-negotiable. Pay yourself first, not your mortgage lender, not your car dealership, yourself. The fourth thing is to audit your housing costs with brutal honesty. Not just your mortgage, everything. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, HOA if applicable, utilities scaled to square footage. What percentage of your take-home income goes to housing? If it's above 30%, you are in the zone where housing is actively preventing wealth building. If you're considering an upgrade that would push you above 35%, you are considering something that will cost you a seven-figure retirement. That's not an exaggeration. That's the math. There's one more thing I need to say before I'm done, because I think it's the thing people need to hear most. You're not behind. Even if you've made every mistake I've described, the upgrades, the lifestyle inflation, the I'll get serious later approach to investing, you are not beyond the point where this matters. Your 40s, even your late 40s, still represent a powerful compounding window. 15 years of disciplined, aggressive investing on a solid income can still produce a fundamentally different retirement than you're currently heading toward. The math is still on your side. Barely, but it is. The people who retire with nothing are not the people who started late. They're the people who started late and never corrected. The people who retire with freedom are not always the people who started early. They're the people who, at some point, regardless of when, looked at the real numbers, got honest about the gap, made the adjustment, and held the line. The question isn't whether you deserve the bigger house. You probably do. The question is whether you can afford to buy it with the one currency that cannot be earned back, time. And the honest answer in your 40s for most people is no. Your peak earning years and your final compounding window are overlapping right now, in this decade, in these years. This is it. This is the moment the wealthy use to build generational security and the moment the middle class uses to build a nicer living room. You get to choose which one you become, but only for so long. The window is open. It won't be open forever.